Hi, welcome to 40 Prey, a podcast by a couple of 30-something dudes whose adult lives and responsibilities have not yet eclipsed their zeal for stupid nerdy shit. From 40K to video games, to D&D, professional wrestling, to Target Supercenters.
Love them.
If it's your fandom, we're your tandem. How you doing? I'm Tommy Bones. This is, as always, Ben.
Hey, man. Boy, it's been a couple weeks since we last made a video, and nothing big happened in that time.
No, super boring life the past few weeks.
Yeah. Of course, that is patently false. You had your second child. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you.
I've seen pictures. I was actually, if you saw me looking down at the start, I was forwarding them to my family.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how she turns out. So far, so good.
So you have a son who's now a little under 3.
Yeah. 2 years. Almost 9 months.
And now you have a infant daughter just born.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need 0.5 more kids, and then you've lived the American dream.
We have a dog.
Done.
Just need the white picket fence.
You don't have a white picket fence?
No. Working on that one still.
Well, I don't have any children or a fence. But you know what I do have? Opinions. Okay. I was kind of wondering, that was a rhetorical question at first, and I was like, I wonder what Tom's gonna say. What do I have? Chronic diseases, way too much unhealthy habits.
I'm just gonna throw it to you.
Deep-seated abandonment issues. Go on. The list just keeps going.
IBS.
Probably. If not now, then soon, I'm sure. We got a big controversial topic today.
Yes. What are we talking about?
You forgot, didn't you?
No. It's March Madness.
March Madness. Hold on, I actually did a decent amount of prep for this.
In September.
Dun 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 dun, 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 dun. The Primarch March Madness malarkey shenanigans in Microsoft PowerPoint. I stole a lot of pictures off the internet. If somebody out there, if you're watching this and one of these is your art, please let us know. I'll give you credit for it.
We will credit you. Check
out this Fulgrim. I thought that was it's very grainy. My bad. Pretty sweet Fulgrim.
Yeah.
Much better than the official pictures. Notice Dorn does not have a mustache, which is a bummer.
So let's just say right now, these matchups were randomly decided.
That's right. Absolutely.
And then obviously there was an uneven amount, so we had to also decided on a randomly chosen
pre-round
extra bracket, I guess. Yes.
That's exactly right, Tom. And I really liked, you and I were trying to figure this out because in order for this to work, you kind of have to have divisible by 4, essentially.
Yeah. 18 is not a great number.
No. So we're going to give this, we called it the wild card round, taking hockey cues. The folks chosen for the wild card round were also chosen by random. So I had a random number generator set up these matches. Look, this is going to be highly subjective. Tom, I did a little bit of homework and I read a whole bunch of Reddit threads and fan debates on various comment sections. This is our opinion. This is just our opinion.
I did not, because I have a newborn, but I did I researched what I could, so I have some opinions.
Well, okay, also my research was 10 minutes. I did 10 minutes of research. Okay, but purely subjective. It's a March Madness bracket kind of thing. By the way, for those international or our friend in Brazil, March Madness is a U.S. tradition where every March, all universities that have a basketball team of a certain caliber that gets into this 64-team tournament. Is it 32? I think it's 32, actually. Anyway, there's a huge tournament with 32 teams, much like this, and it's practice. Boy, and my adult braces are totally making me lisp too. This is a great. I'm drinking apple juice out of a little carton. My God, what is my life? You have 2 children, and I'm drinking a Mott's apple juice box at age 30, 35. Anyway, self-loathing aside, it's a tradition. You make a bracket where you predict the winners of each round, and whoever gets closest, usually there's money and some gambling involved. There's no gambling involved here. This is just us with some random match offs to see who's going to win.
Yeah.
Look, take it all in. Tom, what do you think? Should we start with, let's call this side, we have the left half of my page. We'll make the West. The other side's going to be the East. On the West, our first wild card spot, the preliminary round, is Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords, aka Night Haunter, versus Lorgar Aurelian, the Urizen of the Word Bearers 17th Legion. Who do you got for this one, Tom?
I like Lorgar for this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why I said it so incredulous. It's not that. But go on.
Yes. And I think this goes a little bit to what we were talking about. How you were saying how weak Lorgar is. But he's a Primarch. And I think maybe physically in the material plane, yes, he's not the strongest Primarch, but his warp presence is very strong. And I think Kurz would have a little too much baggage. Maybe he'll feel like he deserves to lose and won't really put so much effort into it. But yeah, I like Lorgar for this.
So boy, this is tough. I disagree. And here's why. Lorgar, well, actually, there's a good point. I think in the rules, and we should be specific about this too, there are stat lines for these guys in 30K that in the game where you can actually have them play off against each other. We're not going by those rules. This is just purely based on observations from the fluff and gut instinct based on what we've seen in the lore.
Our opinions.
And our opinions. So I've seen some lists online that I flagrantly disagree with. I'm not sure flagrantly is the right adverb there, but whatever.
I know what you mean.
But we also should specify in 30K, there are rules, for example, for Horus, before and after he becomes the embodiment and is empowered by chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, with Lorgar, there's kind of a before and after he becomes demonically infused. Another one we should specify is like Magnus, if you count his psychic powers. So this is a good time to bring this up. What is the time frame we're working with here? 30K, like time of the heresy? I think we should look at it holistically.
Right.
So I mean, it becomes a little hard. So for example, with Horus, if he's demon powered, he's going to win.
Yeah.
So I think with Horus, we should probably consider like pre-demon powered.
Because Lorgar and Korax are awakened. So they're like obviously super powerful now.
I think if we went with now, then like Ferris Mantis obviously would not be there. And
he's dead.
So I think we should do roughly 30K.
Mm-hmm.
But we should consider holistically, like with Lorgar, I'm willing to look at both before and after he gets like demonically strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have had Lorgar on this because of that. I agree with you. He's got that reminiscence of his father, that resemblance that's really powerful in the warp. The thing is, I recently listened and completed Unremembered Empire, which walks through kind of the aftermath of Kurz basically torturing Vulcan into insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Vulcan's a perpetual, and once he finds out, he keeps torturing him to death and letting him come back. And he ends up in Lionel Johnson's flagship for like a year, and Lionel Johnson is unable to kind of take him down. And then he goes to the McCrag and single-handedly fights off Gilman and Lionel Johnson. And then it takes a combined force of like a bunch of soldiers and another perpetual and an insane Vulcan to take him down. So it was a really, really OP view of Kurz.
Yeah.
Before that, I would not have considered him, especially given his roles, much of a combatant. But in that book, he comes off as a really OP.
Okay.
So it's kind of a toss-up. I think the other thing we have to take into account, like fluff is really variable.
Right.
So I think all other indications are Kurz is probably in a straight up fight not the best. He's only really good if he's got like the surprise and the shadows.
Mhm.
So
I think that's a question that's gonna come up a few times. You know, what are the circumstances of the fight?
yeah.
But we can address that.
So I think did you ever watch Deadliest Warrior?
Yeah.
So they would run simulations of these hypothetical matchups between like a ninja and a pirate, like
1,000 times. Right?
exactly. Let's pretend they're fighting 1,000 times in all kinds of different situations.
Okay.
If that's the case, I think I give it to Lorgar too.
Yeah, probably.
Like Kurz is going to win sometimes. Like if there's shadow involved, if it's night,
Yeah.
if he's got the element of surprise, if he can booby trap, like that was another big strength was he was really able to just like create effective booby traps and really screw people that way. But I think if all else is fair, which it will be at least half the time, Lorgar is a better combatant.
I think he's a better strategist, which helps him out.
So do you still feel like Lorgar is your choice?
I think so. It is close though.
All right, then I think we give it to Lorgar. So check it out. I'm gonna use my amazing PowerPoint skills.
MS Paint.
No, I graduated from MS Paint. I actually we used to do things in MS Paint, right? Like on the I don't know if we've ever done it on the podcast. All right, Lorgar gets in. That's right. Now I'm gonna put an X on. This is great. This is great podcasting. Here, I'll just do 2 lines. All right, so
gray line.
Two gray lines. This is great television. All right, Conrad Kurz is eliminated. If you're a big Night Lord fan, and I know Tom, you are.
Yeah, that does hurt, but I think we made the right call.
So now that Kurz is out, maybe we'll just take a sec. Is there anyone you think that he would totally just shank that he didn't get? Like if he had been up against a different Primarch, he would have done well.
I would have loved to see Kurz versus Korax.
That would be that'd be a tight showdown.
You know, he's already, fought Vulcan, so we know how that ends. Yeah.
I think Kurz versus I think Vulcan would be an interesting one. I think the Khan, who's also really good at like speed, would outfox him pretty easily. I think he could also like some of the brawlers like Ferris Mantis.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Angron. Like I feel like he could probably outmaneuver them pretty well, like because he's kind of slippery. But I think you're right against Lorgar. I think Lorgar just, especially, I have the picture I have is him demonically powered. I think he wins.
Yeah, I think anyone's susceptible to mind games.
Yeah, that's true. Kurz is really effective if you're psychologically weak.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe like Lehman Russ, who we're going to see, is probably one of the stronger ones in a fight. Seems pretty susceptible to mind games.
Yeah.
So he might be one that we would see. All right. Feel good about it? Next, that was our scientific AI that evaluated 1,000 challenges. Let's go to our other wild card on the East, Mortarion versus Alfarius. Of course, we've got the Plague Man of the 14th, the Death Guard, Mr. Mortarion. And we've got Alfarius, one of the twin Primarchs, Alfarius Omegon, whichever, from the Alpha Legion, the 20th.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think Mortarion takes this one.
I think so too, but and we could talk about that. We also have to consider, because you mentioned, what about like a handicap match where you got Alfarius and Omegon against Mortarion?
Yeah, that would be interesting. If it were the two of them, I think, because they're each Primarchs, right? So, yeah, I think that would be an unfair fight, and they would probably beat Mortarion.
Yeah, their rules in 30K not super impressive. Again, we're not going by those.
Right.
Both Alfarius and Omegon are killed. I mean, debatably, right? Alfarius maybe possibly get killed by Dorn. And then Omegon maybe possibly will get killed by Gilman later on.
I am Alfarius.
I am Alfarius too. So I don't know, man. He's the weakest traditionally. Mortarion, for his point, has a really crappy track record.
That he does.
Like Jagtai Khan totally owned him.
Yeah.
And just didn't kill him at the last minute, hoping that would make him reverse his decision to be a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, do I even need to mention Caldor Drago?
Fucking Caldor Drago.
He went in, he carved his initials on his heart, whatever that means. Unfortunately, that's canon.
Unfortunately.
And that was actually after he was a demon Primarch too.
Mm-hmm. Fucking bullshit.
I think I still go with Mortarion over Alfarius, but I think it's actually sadly close.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I feel like there's a lot more. If the fluff was better, Mortarion could be kind of cool, but he's just his big claim to fame is he just kind of outlasts you.
I think Demon Primarch Mortarion could potentially make it to the finals, but if we're just talking like Primarchs,
but if that's the case, then wouldn't Caldor Drago make it to the finals?
Yes, Caldor Drago wins. He can beat all 18 Primarchs at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right, Mortarion advances. He makes it past the wild card round, but just barely. Now, I will say to anybody out there who thinks this isn't fair, I play a Death Guard team. I love the Death Guard. I think they're super cool. This can hurt a little bit. Is there anyone you think Mortarion would have done well against?
Has there? Who has he faced off?
Just the
Khan.
I think just the Khan. I mean, I'm sure somebody will correct us in the comments, maybe.
Yeah. He's pretty stout. One of the hardier Primarchs to take down. So maybe like in a war of attrition, he would do better against some.
Maybe Kurz, because I feel like Kurz, like his kind of bleed him dry wouldn't work on him.
Yeah.
He would just take all the punishment and deal out enough. Because Kurz is like a relatively fragile, but he just is really good at like dodging and weaving. I just think it wouldn't work against Mortarion.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we let's go back to the West now for our first main round. We're going to skip the Leman Russ Lorgar because Lorgar needs a rest. Our first West main bracket round, we've got Angron versus Ferris Mantis.
Angron versus Ferris Mantis.
By the way, this is a tight picture of Angron.
Right?
I don't know who this is, or it might be like a bust, but it just looks tight. It's a good image.
I'm a fan.
So where are you putting your money on this one?
Angron.
Yeah, I mean Ferris is 0 for 1.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't do so well in Primarch combat. And Angron he's one of the top tier Primarchs, so I don't think Ferris really has a chance there.
So here's the thing about Angron. Again, the fluff really, really varies. So there was I think it was Betrayer. You see him like lifting up a Warhound Titan.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he gets his butt absolutely whooped as a demon Primarch by Purderabo.
Mm-hmm.
Like Purderabo just beat him, like fair and square, kind of like predicted what his moves were going to be. Because Angron, there's no strategy; it's just like slash.
Right.
He went in 1-on-1 against Leman Russ and kind of beat him, but Leman Russ was also trying to make a point.
Yeah.
You know that story?
Yeah. So he had a bunch of Space Wolves surround him while they fought to kind of show him that he didn't have a connection to his legion.
So I feel like Leman was kind of playing him and probably could have killed him if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I also I've just never seen Ferris. Like Ferris isn't that different. Like he's pretty. He goes with his gut. He's maybe a little bit more strategic, but I think it's just going to come down to a slugfest, and I think Angron wins a slugfest.
Yeah.
Ferris, would he be really good against anyone? I don't know. Hard to say. But I think Angron takes this one pretty. I don't think it's going to be like decisive, but I think it's going to be pretty clear. Like I think there'll be some damage done, but
these will all be pretty close, I think.
Speaking of which, you ready for a really controversial one coming out of the East over here? We got the two hottest Primarchs going against each other. Fulgrim versus Sanguinius.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Probably the closest match I could picture.
I mean, Fulgrim is like the master dueler.
Yeah.
But depending on the lore, Sanguinius, who I don't think we ever really see like fight a Primarch except for like super powered Horus.
No, yeah, so we only really hear about his ability from other Primarchs. It's such a so Lorgar says that the Khan and Fulgrim are the best swordsmen of all his brothers. But then there are other Primarchs that say, I think the question of whether or not Fulgrim could beat Sanguinius was posed to them, and they actually laughed out loud. So it seems like everyone has a different opinion. So it's hard to make the call.
And on that note, Horus did say, and I don't have a source, but I remember reading it someplace that Sanguinius was the only other Primarch that he was afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only one that thought could beat him.
Yeah.
Now, what about like demonically powered Fulgrim? Does demonically powered Fulgrim stand a chance against Angel Boy?
Yes. You know what? I think Fulgrim would have an edge, even normally, because I feel like Sanguinius would hesitate. Like I don't know.
On the flip side, Sanguinius did one shot a Warlord Titan.
That's true.
Which is like I was mentioning, like Angron was having trouble with a Warhound, and Sanguinius is like, fuck this, and just flew into the cockpit and killed it.
Yeah. The thing you see a lot with the loyalist Primarchs is that they don't want to kill their brother, whereas the heretics really don't have that qualm. I think that gives them a bit of an edge. This still would be really close, I think.
So it sounds like you're saying Fulgrim edges him out a little bit.
I don't know how to go here.
I feel like it's 55-45 Sanguinius.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about, well, I don't know, because once Fulgrim got demonically possessed, he actually got more erratic, and one could argue he was less effective.
Yeah.
Because like while the Siege of Terra, he was off doing his own thing, and he was possessed by that, that thing in the painting for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
The Keeper of Secrets. I think I give it to Sanguinius, I think, but I'm not like 1,000% on it.
Yeah. And then Demon Primarch Fulgrim killed Purderabo.
No, so actually that's a good point. Didn't he almost kill Purderabo, and then Purderabo actually killed him, and that's what enabled him to have apotheosis?
Yes, that's right. Because he was the hammer
Purderabo's got a really good track record. Like he takes out, he just straight up whomped Demon Angron. He killed Fulgrim to allow him to become a demon. I feel like there was something else he did against like another like pretty OP Primarch. Like he's actually gets shit done, All right, so this looks like it's going to come down to a dice roll: Fulgrim versus Sanguinius. So you're going Fulgrim, I'm going Sanguinius.
Hotly contested. I could be convinced to go Sanguinius.
How about rock paper scissors? Because that's what it's going to come down to.
Flip a coin.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go rock paper scissors shoot. This is great, great television. Rock paper scissors shoot. Scissors beats paper.
Yeah.
All right, Sanguinius advances. Very, very scientific. But that was a really, like, any other Primarch, I probably would have gone with Fulgrim.
Yeah.
I think that was the match I was most looking forward to talking about too. Yeah. Now you're an Emperor's Children fan. Does that hurt that he just got beaten by a scissors beating a paper?
You know, they're so similar. If I had to pick a loyalist faction, it would be Blood Angels. So
Dude, my one complaint about Sanguinius, like I think he's cool and all. I don't have enough of him doing cool stuff in the books.
yeah,
Like he kills a bunch of bloodthirsters at some point, right?
yes,
All right. He's a cool guy. I don't think he's gonna win, but we'll see.
he flies around and bees pretty.
He bees pretty. He has a spear and a sword. He's a good dude. If I had to pick one to be friends with, that would probably be Sanguinius.
Angel.
All right, next up in the West, our second matchup, we've got Robute Gilman, aka Rodent Guillotine,
Rodent Guillotine
versus Peter Turbo Purderabo of the Iron Warriors. This is an interesting matchup.
Yeah, this one gave me some pause.
I mean, both master strategists.
Mhm.
Robute is really good at setting of the Ultramarines of the 13th. He's really good at setting up leaders to be really strong. Although I think later on he really uses the Codex Astartes to try to micromanage. Purderabo, super micromanage.
Yeah.
Meticulous, not a great leader to his guys. And in general, he's known as the bitter one. He's very bitter about, his whole upbringing, his place in the Imperium, everything else.
Quite.
Other thoughts? Robute, worth noting, he did get beaten by Fulgrim and poisoned.
That's true. Well, Demon Primarch Fulgrim.
That's right, Demon Primarch Fulgrim, and I feel like he may have killed Omegon.
Possibly.
But it might have been a double. And then he went up against Demon Primarch Mortarion in the 42nd Millennium, and I think kind of almost did okay, but wasn't really going to win by himself.
Yeah. And Peter Turbo, we've already talked about his numerous accomplishments.
Yeah, I gave it to Peter Turbo.
Yeah.
I actually think Purderabo is one of the most underrated, like gets shit done guys.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't even think this is much of a contest. I think Gilman's good. He's not a fighter in comparison to his brothers at the same level.
Yeah, I feel like Rodent Guillotine is kind of like 40K's Batman. Not in a Conrad Kurz way, but like if you give him enough preparation time, he can beat anybody. But this matchup, I think, was not his best.
Is there anyone you think Mr. Guillotine would have potentially won against?
Yeah, he's I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he lost the Kurz. He couldn't get Kurz. Maybe a pre-transformed Lorgar. But actually, they kind of did go up against that. They really hate each other. I don't know if I'd put him at not quite an F tier, but a D tier.
Who's he been up against in canon?
Well, Fulgrim, which he lost. Demon Primarch Mortarion, which he didn't do so great against, and Omegon, which he did beat. Hypothetically, it might have been Omegon. We don't know.
Yeah. Who didn't do so well at all?
No, but I mean, they're also like half of a Primarch, so
that's true.
All right, Peter Turbo. I feel like Peter Turbo is going to go pretty deep on this one.
Yeah.
All right, next matchup in the East, we've got the emo captain of the Primarchs, Corvus Corax, all around decent dude. Just don't get him started on his emotions versus Big Daddy Horus himself.
Yeah.
Well,
gotta go with the Warp Master.
Gotta go with the Warp Master. I almost feel like maybe we shouldn't have included Horus because it's kind of like a foregone conclusion. What if Horus is not demonically charged and Corvus Corax is in his awakened state?
That would be a good fight.
And so in his awakened state, like I know, and do we know for sure that he's kind of demonic, or is it just like a whisper or a rumor?
So I think the I don't know if it's actual canon or fan theory that when the Primarchs were created, they were given warp deities souls, And then when they kind of realize that, they awaken and unleash their true ability, because apparently they all have a Zanpakuto, and once they learn its name, they get their Bankai, and power
What?
level goes
What?
over 9,000.
Was that a Dragon Ball Z reference in there?
That was 2 anime references.
What is a Zanpakuto?
So you've never seen Bleach?
No.
Super good.
Okay. Note to self: I probably just lost like 5 viewers with Bleach. What was the other one?
Huh?
The Zanpakuto, and then they turn into what?
Oh yeah, so the Zanpakuto is the Soul Slayer sword, and every Shinigami has one. And then when you learn its name, so each sword has a soul, and when you learn its name, then it's called a Shikai, or first release, and you get this super power, like it transforms into some crazy form. But when you train like a shit ton, all of the captains have a Bankai, or second release, that makes them even more powerful. So Korax and Lorgar have their Bankai.
There's a second release joke in there somewhere, but I'm gonna let it go. All right, so Corvus's Bankai, boy, this is deep cuts. Is he turns into like basically a super cool shadow creature, right?
Yeah, so Raven of the Raven Guard can transform. He can transform into a flock of ravens.
I think he likes ravens.
Yeah.
You know who his favorite wrestler is? It's actually Doink the Clown.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes. For those that don't know, there was a wrestler named Raven who was kind of emo too. All right, but Horace, maybe the way we should think about it, in our 1,000 simulations, there's going to be some where it's Bankai versus normal.
Yeah.
And I think Bankai Corvus could probably be normal Horus.
Yeah.
Like Corvus and Horus, that's not confusing. But Horus, like, here's the other thing, like Horus is good. You don't really see him fighting much.
Yeah, he's more of a leader, sort of.
It's like, but like in the book, like a commander.
Yeah.
Tactician.
Delegator.
But like you don't actually see him like throw bows. So like we don't actually know, is he as good as he says he is? Like, show me.
I mean, even the fight against Sanguinius, Sanguinius was pretty tired at that point. He had been fighting for a while. Horus was fresh.
Like, but I know in 30K the rules, like Demon Horus is pretty much fucking unstoppable, but
yeah, he was made the War Master.
All right, so this one goes to Horus. Okay, Horus beats Korax, unfortunately, because I really like Korax. I would like to see a Bankai Korax versus a Bankai Curse.
Yeah. So far, it's just Korax and Lorgar fighting each other for eternity. Lorgar turns into a fireball surrounded by flaming runes.
Is that actually what he turns into?
Yeah. Hi, welcome to 40 Cray, the podcast by a couple of 40-something dudes. You just made us older now.
He gave us 10 years.